Serious, what are some ways one can stop unwanted what if anxiety inducing thoughts from spinning in their head? Attention. Serious tag notice jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted. Link. Reddit. com/r/askreddit/wiki/index/wiki_rule 6. In any comment, parent or child, parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I'm a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit /message/compose/to/r/askreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Sometimes, when those thoughts start to get overwhelming, you can try imagining you have a worried friend. You can even name your anxiety. Let's say it's Ferdinand. Many of us are better at being kind and understanding with our friends and loved ones than with ourselves. You might sit down and be a wonderful, calming listener for your sister's problems, but then turn right around and mentally berate yourself anytime you are having a hard time or need some care. So, maybe imagining that Ferdinand is the adorable, worried friend would make it easier to give him what he needs. When those thoughts come up, what if I ruin everything? And what if I'm just doomed to be a failure? And what if my friends really don't like me? It might be time to sit down with Ferdinand and say, buddy, I really don't think any of that is going to happen. And you know your friends like you, but it sounds like you're really overwhelmed. Let's take a walk and listen to some music. It's going to be okay. Just try talking to yourself like you talk to a good friend who comes to you with worries, and being cute about it with a name or a funny mental image to personify your anxiety can make you smile and break the tension. I don't think it will always stop anxious cycles, but maybe sometimes it can help you to forgive yourself for going through them. And when it's too much, get some help. Talk it out with somebody else. My therapist told me to start replacing what if with when, so that I would A. understand which scenarios were not as plausible/real issues, B. take the anxiety off my current self and put it toward developing productive solutions. For example, instead of what if my friend is mad at me and worrying about the problems it would potentially cause me, I'd go when my friend is mad at me, I will do X, Y, Z to resolve it and stop worrying about it now. BC it's not in my present. It's basically the equivalent of going I'll cross that bridge when I got to it, but for some reason it really helps me with the spiraling. Edit. Whoa, this exploded. Thanks all. Like anything, this isn't a catch-all strategy that works for everyone or everything, but I find it helps me specifically with day-to-day spiraling thoughts. If this doesn't work for you, that's okay. Not every tool my therapist gives me works for me either. My dad always said there's no reason to worry until you have a reason to worry. When found out my mom might have cancer, he said that we don't know what she has. When we find out whether or not she has cancer, then we know what to think about. There's no reason to go there yet. BTW. It was cancer. She did a bunch of treatment, had surgery, and fully recovered. She's now cancer free. When I was 14 or so, I started distracting myself from unpleasant thoughts by playing what if scenarios in my head with absurdly good outcomes. Many of these turned into superhero daydreams, but it worked. I still do similar stuff now. My brain asks, what if a violent criminal breaks into my house? I remind myself of existing security measures, locks, cameras, lights, and then imagine myself easily defeating that criminal by knocking him out and/or trapping him in a closet. I know both the terrible and amazing outcomes are unlikely, but focusing on the good one allows me to relax. Like before you go to bed or middle of the day, here's what I do for both. I tell myself that the next 10 breaths are mine. I then make a fist, but with my index finger resting on my thumbnail. Try it. Feels weird. Very distracting. Leave it there. Count the inhalers 1, and then the exhalers 1. Think about that thumb the whole time. Nothing else. I tell myself. Think about the thumb every time an intrusive thought blossoms. 10 breaths. No exceptions. It works. Sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes I forget about it entirely and suffer. Good luck. Meditation. It's a life changer. The idea isn't to stop those thoughts. Because stopping a thought is like trying to stop the wind. The idea is to allow the thoughts, like the wind, to pass on by, noticed, acknowledged, and then past. Hope that helps. Honestly, when I have invasive thoughts that trigger anxiety, I straight up subvocalize something like, "Hey man, I don't know if that's the most helpful thing you can do right now. How about we try?" Consciously advising myself as though my unconscious, anxious self were a friend who's having a hard time seems to really help. My big problem is catastrophizing. I always take what ifs to the worst possible outcomes. Drive over a pothole? Maybe it was actually a small child who you didn't see. Dog barks at something through the front window at night. Someone is probably trying to break in. Once my therapist helped me name this thought pattern and taught me how to talk myself down. I have been much better, but that took therapy and medication. I recommend talking to your PCP and seeing if those are good options. The first time I met with a therapist, she pointed out how many should statements I was making. And then she asked me to tell me what I really have done, not what I think should or could happen. Shoulds and what I've kill my motivation, self-esteem and energy. And whenever I remember to knock out shoulds, it helps. This is going to sound nuts, but hear me out. Remember that episode of SpongeBob where Squidward is in an endless white room? I consciously visualize that room, which is supposed to represent my mind. And then I visualize a ton of cute dogs running around and driving away my unwanted thoughts. Once they're gone, the dogs arrange into a large circle and trot around the circle, following each other in a big conga line. I focus on the dogs for a few moments and just breathe, kind of meditating. If the thoughts start to come back into my head, the dogs drive them away again and return to the circle. Consider a totally different time frame or scenario from your current what if worry. So if you're preoccupied by something that is happening this week, start thinking of a completely benign thing about the next season. For example, performance review at work this week. So what? It'll be Apple idea time at the park in 3 months. What if you take your niece and nephew to go that weekend? This works long term too. Worried about something longer term, like your job or your degree. Man, what if 5 years from now you publish your own book? Wouldn't that be cool? Or what if you start learning a language today? 5 years from now you would be fluent. What if things work out? But what if they don't? It really is a constant battle for me at night. One thing I've learned is to challenge your what ifs. What are the chances of them happening? How bad can it really be? It's best to try and change your mindset. It'll be a struggle for a bit for sure, because we've made a habit of thinking of the worst case scenarios, but you have to keep putting in an effort to challenge your negative thoughts and making a habit of thinking of positive thoughts. From a video I watched, think of your thoughts as a buffet. You don't have a choice of what's being served. There's unhealthy ones as well as healthy ones, but you can always choose the healthy options. So try and choose to feed on the positive thoughts. Good luck. Occupy yourself with an activity over which you have control, like a puzzle, or even a video game. Drawing is sometimes good. Stimulate your brain in a different way, I guess is what I mean. 3 things. 1. Think of the anxiety or thought passing you by. I imagine myself as a rockin' river and the anxiety flows over me and away. Just the visual imagery sometimes helps me while I take a deep breath. 2. Try not to give the thought too much power. Don't fight against it. It's there. It's unhelpful, upsetting, traumatizing, but try to refocus on something else instead of fighting against it. For example, don't tell yourself, "Don't think about this." Instead, focus on your favorite book or movie or what you are going to have for dinner, or whatever else you can. 3. Exercise. It really helps. Find something to focus on. A cold, damp rag is a great way to start. Hold it. Think about the dampness, the coldness, The texture of the rag. Think about the rag and nothing else. When you think about your worries, think about the rag. Don't get mad that you thought about something else. Just kindly bring your attention back to the rag. You will find you lose track of what you were worried about if you can genuinely lose yourself in this. Being able to do this without an item in your hands is essentially what meditation is. But an item that hits a number of your senses is a great place to start. This doesn't work for everyone, but I stop myself and think of my favorite TV show or movie at the moment and think of a funny part. I really enjoy watching bloopers and realizing that not everyone's perfect, and we should enjoy every moment we're given. This doesn't really confront the what if questions, but it helps my mind change the subject. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's relatively easy to train yourself on. I use the app Thought Diary. It helps me identify what I'm worrying about and disengage from the cycle, while also coming up with potential plans of action. Just remember, there's no what ifs, only what is. Breathing exercises, anxiety meds, prayer, not for everyone, but I find that it helps immensely. Philippians 4:6-7 says to pray with supplication and thanksgiving. That is, thanks for the good things that you have, and asking for assistance with what you need. The peace of God that surpasses all understanding comes on you. It protects you from the trauma while the anxiety passes. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.